So here we're looking at possession analysis. It's quite possibly the most significant piece of statistical analysis which you can take, or certainly one of the two most significant pieces. It works in that basically every possession that each player gets is logged and categorized into one of 15 different possible outcomes. So that at the end of the game, you're left with this quite comprehensive tally of what each and every ball contact came to. It's quite advanced in that many of the similar templates that teams are using simply log possessions, losses, scores and wides maybe, whereas this logs an entire range of different outcomes, most significantly differentiating between neutral plays, mildly positive plays, positive penetrative plays, etc., as we look at in a minute. The magic in this is that it can be done more or less in real time, and when you bear in mind that you can speed your video up when the other team have the ball, you could actually do this in an hour-long match. You could actually do this analysis in less than an hour, and at the end of that time you'd have this entire timeline here of possessions. You could click your player's name and save video for that player, and like that, as simple and as fast as that, you've now got your video for that player and you move on, etc. Literally, depending on how quickly you sat down with your video after a game, within 2 hours of the end of the game, you could have all this information and your video from each player. It's important to point out that there are actually two videos explaining how this works. The second one, which if it's not up by the time you've looked at this, will be up very shortly. We'll go through the forensic science of what actually constitutes the different plays. This video looks more at how you actually use the template with a brief description of what, broadly speaking, are self-explanatory categories. So we'll look here, as we say, we'll see we've got a neutral play, a mildly positive play, a positive penetrative, which is a line break. You've got a link play, which is to say a player has come from ahead of the ball to link the play up and keep an attack going, otherwise would have broken down. You've been fouled for a free, a non-scoring free that is, as you'll see. A negative basically is a turnover, differentiated from a negative X, which is a turnover where you are attempting a positive play. You'll see then you click this button here with the 3 dots and you have 8 further options, which you'll see are used less frequently or mean the ball has gone dead. You've got a goal, a point, you were fouled for a scoreable free, which is to say that it was inside 45 metres or it was outside that and was scored. You were fouled for a penalty, you kicked the ball wide. A point attempt dropped short, a short attempt, that is to say it dropped short into the hands of the opposition. If it dropped into the hands of your own players, it would be counted as a pass and you would be looking at which one of these it is. A goal shot, once again it didn't go in, or a long ball, which is distinctly a long ball which is played into the full forward line where there was at least a 50-50 chance of the men in the full forward line winning that ball, because frequently in the day and age of the blanket defence it is the right option and it would be harsh to judge it as a possession loss if it wasn't won inside. So with that, we're going to come back to this page in a few minutes, but for now we're going to have a quick look at how this would function. So we have a blank page here. I've opened up Dublin and Mayo, though it hasn't been worked on yet. So we'll turn down column there for a second and we'll just start the video from here and we'll cancel it. So you're going to see here how once you get a hang of where the buttons are, where the players are, it is actually a piece of analysis that can generally be done in real time. So we'll see here the kick out's about to be played. We can speed it up while we're waiting. And there we are. Right, so we're gone into real time. Just going to bring it back a second. So we're into real time. James McCarthy's on the ball. So we'll see. That's a mildly positive play. Mick Fitzsimons. So I'm hovering over ready to see what he does. That's not quite a line break, it's a mildly positive, but it's more than a neutral. Philly McMahon has now taken on and beaten the man, so that's got to be positive unless he turns it over. He didn't. Positive penetrative, and James McCarthy put it wide. So we'll be going in here, clicking the button, and that's a wide. And as you see, we've been doing this in real time, and you'll see here the pieces of information are going into the timeline and they're tallying over here. What you'll see again with the videos, like everything, you have your options here, and this will ask you in terms of the video. So we're looking at possession. So here I have it logged that it's going to start recording 12 seconds before the play is recorded, and it's going to record for 3 seconds after. So if we go back here again to our Mick Fitzsimons, say for example, we'll close this, back to Mick Fitzsimons, we click the button and you'll see it's starting from 12 seconds before we log that play. Again, with 12 seconds you might get a little bit extra action than you need, but it guarantees you're not going to miss the start of it if the player was in possession for quite a bit of time. And there you go, and that would have stopped recording about now. So you'll see also one other option here. It says add 2 seconds to possession video. What that means is that if you want, in terms of, so it's going to be 12 seconds as I've set before the play is recorded, but here these ones take a little bit longer, so just the option for that to go for 2 seconds. So as I say, you see that that was done in real time, but the important thing about this, as you'll see, that once Dublin lose the ball, again, as you'll have seen in the video section, I have this option set on speed, half time and double time. I could go to more than that, but we leave it on double time, and you'll see here, once that ball goes wide, we don't need to wait around in real time. Mayo have the ball, so we're now speeding the game up by double, so we can get it back to normal speed when Dublin have the ball again. There we are now, and as you say, that's how you can manage to do this in actually less than real time. So we'll go back to the game that we had done, which is the Dublin Mayo All-Ireland final, the original game. And you'll see how once you've finished the game, all of these timelines are filled in. So you go through here, you see Davy Byrne in the 8th minute of neutral play, 11th minute of neutral play, 23rd of neutral play, 28 negative, and so on. Now, your figures will tally over here. So you've got your total amount of plays, neutrals, fouled frees, mildly positive, positive penetrative. Now, many of the ones from in here will tally into that, and what you'll see is anything with an inverted green L shape here means that there's extra information. So you'll see here, for example, probably Paddy Andrews was the most striking. He has 4 positive penetrative plays. When you hover over it, you'll see that was 2 scored frees and 2 points. Again, negatives, anything here. So let's say, for example, on the day, Philly McMahon had 4. 2 of them happened while trying to play a positive play. So as you see, you've got that entire piece of information. Probably the most striking one of the day, considering he was taken off, is Mick McCauley. He had 24 possessions in 54 minutes of game time. And as you'll see, he had 9 neutrals, 1 fouled free, 7 mildly positive and 5 positive penetrative with 1 scored free, and only 2 turnovers. It wasn't a particularly poor display, certainly not from play. You'd look then at his breach interception, and that might tell you another story. But certainly in terms of open play, Mick McCauley had quite a good game on that day. Now, there's one other piece of information to bear in mind here. When we looked into our matches, okay, and here we are, there was an option here at the start, and we could edit it. You had duration 70, and then there's real time. If you want to save yourself 5 or 10 minutes, you could just put real at 70 and leave it at that. The reason that option is there is you take a player who came on, say, with 3 or 4 minutes left, but there was 7 or 8 minutes of injury time played. All of a sudden, if you have him logged as having come on in the 66th minute, it is going to skew his figure somewhat. Let's take a look at Darren Daly here. He came on in the 67th minute, but there were 7 minutes of injury time played, so he actually played 10 minutes and not 3. And when you go into your full game average here, you'll click, and this gives the figures relative to the full amount of time that was played. So you'll see here Darren Daly, over the 80 minutes which was played on the day, 38 and 42, Darren Daly actually had an average of 8 minutes. Again, of 8 possessions. Again, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you just left it at 70 minutes, but it would skew these figures somewhat. And if you were a player who was coming on late in the game a lot of the time, over the course of his averages on the season, that could become quite skewed. So you have your full game averages there. Again, as you see, going back to Mick McCauley, based on a minute per minute ratio, he actually had the 2nd highest amount of possession of the Dublin team on the day, behind Kieran Kilkenny, who was obviously on 52. So by the end, you'd see you've got quite a comprehensive look at what each player did on the ball on the day, and also your possibility at the click of a button to make your videos, making what I would consider to be the most comprehensive possession analysis you can find in the game.